WWE Games for the last 13 or so years have stuck to pretty much the same formula of releasing one title every year for different platforms. And it's not something that's new either, as all the way back in the 90s, most WWE games would be multi-platform releases, with the rare few ever getting an exclusive console release. In the late 90s, major changes were happening in WWE's video game division, with WWE partnering up with the former WCW video game publisher THQ, and with that starting what would become a near 14-year partnership. One of the biggest changes that came with the new partnership with THQ was that for the first time ever, each console would get their own exclusive WWE game, and for most of those games they would eventually become series. The 6-year console exclusive WWE Games project would start off with a bang by the name of WrestleMania 2000. WrestleMania 2000 would release exclusively for the N64 in late 1999 and was heavily praised by fans and critics, as well as selling more copies than any other WWE game that released on the N64 before it. Console exclusive WWE games were off to a great start, and it was about to get even bigger than probably even THQ had even imagined. The very first SmackDown game would be the next WWE game release after WrestleMania 2000, and it was only available exclusively for the PS1. It would become the highest selling WWE game ever. Still to this day holds the WWE Games record of selling the most copies on a single platform ever. The incredible success of both SmackDown and WrestleMania 2000 would lead to sequels being planned. Before those would arrive, however, THQ even tried with an exclusive Dreamcast WWE game in August 2000 with Royal Rumble, which was a direct port of the bare bones arcade edition, with pretty much nothing added or changed for a console release. As you can imagine, the game ended up bombing with bad reviews and sales, but this was just a little blip in THQ's run of exclusive excellence. No Mercy and SmackDown 2 would release before the end of the year 2000 in what would be the final WWE games on the 5th generation of consoles, and what an end to a generation it was. Both No Mercy and SmackDown 2 would get even better review scores than their predecessors, and are both known as two of the best WWE games to ever have been released. The move to console exclusive WWE games up to this point had been a huge success, but that great success was about to take a major hit. After the release of No Mercy, the developers Aki would move on from THQ to EA, leaving WWE's next Nintendo exclusive without a development team, as well as losing one of the very best wrestling video game development teams ever. On top of that, 2001 was a mostly dry year for WWE games, with SmackDown Just Bring It coming out at the end of the year exclusively on the PS2 to not so great reviews, but sales were still great, which showed the fanbase had made the jump from the PS1 to the PS2. The same could not be said for Nintendo's next exclusive WWE game. WrestleMania 18 was released in mid-2002 on the newly released GameCube console. It was decided that the game would be developed by Hughes, the same team working on the SmackDown series, which means their workload bumped up to 2 WWE games per year. WrestleMania 18 would end up getting not so great reviews and ended up selling over 60% less than No Mercy did. The problems with console exclusive games didn't just stop there. WWE and THQ wanted to get an exclusive game on Microsoft's brand new console, the Xbox. So a new development team was brought in called Anchor Inc. to create what would become the Raw series. WWE and THQ didn't want to wait around to release Raw, so the original plan was that it was going to be a launch title for the brand new Xbox. The development of Raw was not going to plan, however, causing the release date to be pushed from November 2001 to February 2002, with many planned features also being removed due to time restrictions. On that note, make sure to check out my video about what was planned and removed from the first ever Raw game. Anyway, Raw, like WrestleMania 18, would have similar not so great reviews, and sales being about the same. Later that year, SmackDown Shut Your Mouth would release to very good reviews, and as usual, sales were in the millions, solidifying further that SmackDown was the premier WWE game series. Although sales and reviews were disappointingly low for both WrestleMania 18 and Raw, fans of WWE games liked the idea that with 3 WWE games being released per year, 3 different WWE games in 1 year. That does sound crazy in 2019, doesn't it? Anyway, they liked the idea because each game felt different and there was gameplay features that were unique to that exclusive series. For me, that was one of the main reasons why console exclusive WWE games were so good. Each game had something that it did better than the other two. That would be the case more than ever in 2003 with the releases of WrestleMania 19 on the GameCube, Raw 2 on the Xbox, and SmackDown Here Comes the Pain on the PS2. But once again, SmackDown would smash the sales figures and reviews, whilst Raw 2 and WrestleMania 19 wouldn't even come close. Although to their credit, they were majorly improved and received more praise than the previous games. But at this point, it did become clear that exclusive WWE games were about to become a thing of the past. The long-term future of exclusive WWE games was uncertain at this time, but still THQ shook things up in 2004 to try and turn things around. WrestleMania was dropped on the GameCube and would become Day of Reckoning, and plans for a Raw 3 would be scrapped, with THQ moving forward with a new developer to bring the WrestleMania series to Xbox. Day of Reckoning's changes would improve sales and review scores enough that a sequel would release in 2005 in what would be the final Nintendo exclusive WWE game. WrestleMania 21 also released in 2005, but unlike Day of Reckoning 2, it released to terrible reviews and fan backlash. Enough backlash to be known as one of the worst WWE games of all time. And as you can imagine, this would also be the final Xbox exclusive WWE game ever released. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 would end up coming out later in 2005, and it would actually be the final ever console exclusive WWE game as of 2019, putting an end to the 6-year run of exclusive WWE games. In 2006, Xbox would make its main series debut with SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 on the Xbox 360. Nintendo would do the same 1 year later with SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 being released on the Wii, and since then every main series WWE game has been available on Xbox consoles, and only some of the games appearing on Nintendo consoles. So what caused the end of the console exclusive WWE games after such a great start? I do think it was a combination of a few things. One of those things being an oversaturation of WWE games. 3 games per year, and that's just those series. There were some years like 2003 that had a game like Crush Hour come out, making it 4 WWE games being released in 1 year. That's just insane. There was just too many WWE games out there at the time, so people stuck to the series that they trusted the most, and that was SmackDown. Another reason why it probably ended was because of low sales figures. The Xbox and GameCube games were just not selling well enough to make it worth putting in the time and resources to make an exclusive WWE game. And lastly, I think the SmackDown series was just too far ahead in comparison. It did make the other series look like they was at a B level. Even something like the Elimination Chamber match never even made an appearance in either the Xbox or GameCube WWE games. So if people wanted the definitive WWE game experience, it makes sense that they would choose SmackDown over the other WWE games. Not that the other WWE games were bad or anything, it was just that SmackDown was doing more with the WWE games license than the other games were actually doing. And to end this video, the question is, could exclusive WWE games ever return? Personally, I don't think so. I just don't think it would ever really work again. But there is something I would like to see, and that's having a second WWE game being released every other year. That is something that's totally different from the 2K series. Like the year where we got WWE All-Stars, it was something fresh and different compared to the main series, and it also made the wait for the next WWE game a little bit easier. Would you like to see console exclusive WWE games make a return, or would you like to see a second WWE game series being released every other year or every year? Thanks as always for watching the video. Please make sure to like it if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.